as that is where we find ourselves right now. Syndra are going to be the first ban away from Crown. The Crown's champion pool has extended, 4 games on Syndra, Orianna, Victor, and Talia so far this season, and 5 on the Karma. A couple in the back there as well. That cheeky Fiora game was a fun one.
Always plays the 4 to 5 champions, right? That's kind of the way the Crown goes. You look in solo queue and you hope to see something new, but it's always just more and more games into understanding all the best and worst matchups for these champions. And Syndra was left open to him in one of the games against Jin Air, game 1, and he promptly dispatched them. And it's 4-0 on the pick, so not going to be messing around with that on blue side especially. Looking to see what slides to first pick. With a blue side Elise ban, does mean that Galio can be no longer a traded pick, and now we're looking at first pick. In other series, it might have been something like the Lee Sin, but that seems like a bit of a reach in this particular series.
Feels like Rek'Sai could be an opportunity here. They wanted to take that one away instead, but no, Karma is going to be the pickup, denying it from Crown and giving Kuzan the opportunity to hop back on what is another utility pick there in the mid lane.
And now I want to know, what does Ambition take when Rek'Sai and Gragas are both available? Because until the last series, don't even have to think about that question. You lock in the Gragas. But his Rek'Sai play was amazing against Longzhu. Very smart at picking the right lane to gank, being in the right spot, deciding bot lane in game 2, then top lane in game 3 with smart pathing. So to see him move past the Rek'Sai would be understandable if they draft Gragas, but I'd love to see more games of him on Rek'Sai because that was vintage Ambition from when he was firing on all cylinders in 2016.
We'll see what he decides to do. It's on him to figure it out. Okay.
Denial pick also, potentially.
That's a decent opportunity, but you mentioned that you can pick the Rek'Sai into the Lee Sin, and it can work. Warwick is a different option.
Seen a couple of junglers messing around with him in solo queue, but locking him in competitive is a different story.
Yeah. Although, how did Jin Air win the game against Samsung last time? By picking weird stuff. Probably isn't going to be the Warwick, but look, there could be some other curveballs that this draft could get thrown.
Will just be the Rek'Sai that hasn't, again, had a winning record for specifically Umti, who's 1-4 on Rek'Sai, but has been a big pick recently. And speaking of pick CC does help the Rek'Sai get going in the early to mid game. If you go Tiamat into something like the Cinderhulk, can get work done, and Thresh will facilitate that. A Snowflower special from even when he was on Rebels Anarchy and previously the Freak of Freaks as well.
Yeah, I thought the Rakan could have been an opportunity here for Jin Air as well, but Snowflower going to go back to another champion that he has found relative success on.
It also takes away any air of ambiguity about the Karma. Will be a mid lane Karma.
That is true. Unless it's an 80 carry Karma. You're going to charge up that Mantra a lot faster.
Oh yeah? You got any more facts about AD Karma? Tell me more about it.
Oh, well, you just need to make sure you build your Rage Blade as quickly as possible so you synergize with your spells, Papa Smithy, and then you promptly forfeit the game.
Which Zeal item would you go?
Rapid Fire Cannon.
Oh, good to know. Just extend that auto attack range?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Shut up. All right, Zaya going to be banned away. We'll see where Jin Air are going to go as far as the ban aims, and it is promptly maneuvered straight back to Crown.
I wonder if this is going to guide Teddy into Varus, which has been one of his most picked so far this season. So far, Kate, Zaya, Ashe, and Varus have been the biggest of picks for the side of Teddy's, or you could just eliminate all of them with a Varus ban. So the Varus was actually banned on blue side, I tell a lie. So already, the AD carry pool is very constricted, so we're running pretty low here, maybe running on fumes for Teddy, who hasn't really been messing around with the Callistas of the world as much as other AD carries, and previously the crown jewel of Jin Air. Be interesting to see where he goes, as the likes of Twitch and Callista really are the only ones that...
Ironically, the one you haven't named is in the name of the team. Jin is certainly an option that Teddy has been to in the past.
Prey not picking it up today was a bit of a disappointment, but Teddy, like you say, is a Jin player. I'm looking for an answer to the Karma. This is one that people have workshopped, has been the Cassia, which would be quintessential Crown, but if we go back a bit further, I see you pointing at the screen, Atlas, because he was also a big purveyor of the Corki in the early parts of spring season. So we haven't had as much Corki as we expected on the Rift during the course of this week.
Yeah, and actually, I love it. We didn't see it in our last series, and I feel like that's a slight oversight that we didn't mention the complete lack of Corki being looked at all. Of course, a lot of contested picks there in the mid lane with the Galio being able to go through and things like that. But seeing this for the first time today is interesting in game number 4 of the day.
It's one of those things where I feel like Corki will cement himself as a must-pick, must-ban if an extra week was given for teams to VOD review and watch other regions. So I think increasingly in the future, when we come back from Rift Rivals, then yes, Corki will reach that status. But teams haven't necessarily played or scrimmed as much Corki recently. And the end result has been him falling through picks and bans in surprising spots. Ixu needed a blind pick top laner. We'll go Rumble, and we questioned Ixu's Rumble earlier in the week, and he had a fantastic Rumble game just a couple of series ago. Doesn't mean that QV, because they're on red side, will have counter pick to whatever he was deciding. Didn't want to go for the blind pick. Renekton was worried about the Gnar. And Gnar always did pretty competitively into Rumble as well. So still will be Gnar duty for QV.
Yep, and he's going to try and look for the 3-0 on the pick as well. The man has looked good so far, and we'll see whether that is going to continue. I like the composition as far as throwing enemies around. You've got the Gnar, you've got the Dragon Rage, and you've got Crown there as well to boot people out of the way with big package. See what happens as we get onto the Rift, because Samsung have drafted themselves comfort as well as a composition that does a lot of damage, Pop Smithy.
And it certainly does a lot of damage to turrets. They have 3 ranged auto attackers. Gnar, of course, only situationally, but all 3 of them want to crash down turrets, and team fighting will be a secondary concern to Samsung Galaxy. As the match goes on, though, very curious to see how the Rek'Sai will work this time for Umti. He's putting a lot of time into it in solo queue, ostensibly scrims, and also on stage. But it hasn't necessarily been resulting in wins, and Jin Air, like you mentioned, have been on the downward trend. The sad planes have been more commonplace recently. They want to rewrite that, but Samsung is tough opposition.
They certainly are. The bottom lane has been somewhere Jin Air has been flourishing earlier on when they were picking up the victories. Can the Kalista Thresh get them over the line? We'll see whether that's going to be the case, or whether Freljord is going to rule supreme with Ruler and Core JJ. Let's see what happens.
A lot of cheerings from the Samsung fans, feeling good. Imagine some of them will be jumping on a plane and heading over to Rift Rivals after this, as they're to join their charges. The last match in Korea for Samsung Galaxy before they jump over to represent Korea at that event.
That was the laziest low 5 I have ever seen in my entire life. Absolutely fantastic. It's Teddy and Snowflower. Once again, a bit of lore down here on the other side of the Rift as well. I like it. It's good to know when you got storylines as far as players, and then you've got storylines as far as champions as well. Everybody wins.
Narratives upon narratives, Atlas.
It's perfect. It's what you want. It's what you're looking for all the time. Okay, Ambition for a bottom side start potentially. That'd be odd. I've seen a lot of Lee Sins do this. There's pings everywhere from Jin Air, just trying to work out where he's going to be starting.
Maybe even a late invade here as Braum is being ushered up. It wasn't the 5-man Braum invade we saw from Longzhu that actually ended up costing them. But they consider their options. They have a ward down already, and they just will be going for the big leash on the blue buff.
Yep. There's a little bit the start that we see a lot more often for the likes of Elise, things like that. As Kuzan just going to help out with some auto attacks. Umti's going to take down these little raptors, and the bottom lane is going to say, please, can you just come and take the river? There it is.
That's a smiter. I think there was actually a query about whether the patience would run out, so smiting it there is not ideal. But he's still level 2, still Rek'Sai.
Yeah, not going to have too much trouble. His Ambition takes the Gromp. He'll head over to his red buff likely. Actually, no, going for that full clear route, so not looking for any shenanigans with Rift Scuttlers and the like.
Ambition does play the Lee Sin a little bit differently to some of our other Lee Sins. Pick that he's played for a lot of his career. I'm a bit of a soundboard, but I always talk about how it was his big pick in the jungle back when he was a mid laner. So it's going to be focusing on the level 6, it feels, rather than necessarily Anything else? Another reason he might have not gone straight to this camp is he would have hoped that the ward would have expired already on the red buff, but was there, and they do have pretty exact information as Ruler.
Speaking of which.
Yep, gets able to launch the Hawk Shot. One of the underrated parts of drafting Ashe is that you get a lot of information with the clairvoyance-esque effect of the Hawk Shot during laning phase.
The drone shot, as it were. This particular skin.
UAV.
Yeah, like it. Oh, wow. Bit of a COD reference.
Yeah.
Flashbacks.
You a COD gamer, Atlas?
No. No, that's why it's bad flashbacks.
Did you have a Call of Duty? I feel like everyone played a Call of Duty. Like everyone has one they would say was theirs.
Yeah, the one that I enjoyed was Call of Duty 2. That was when I was young. I thought that I was good at video games, even if I wasn't.
You don't have to be good at Call of Duty to play it.
No.
I played some Modern Warfare 2. It was pretty fun, but fell off it after that.
What did I play recently? There was one of them that came out recently. It was okay. Kuzan's going to get the snare. And Crown is going to be able to trade back fantastically well with Gatling Gun and the Fast Bomb. Not too much aim. Yeah, I can't actually remember what that the COD that recently came out. Was it like Modern Warfare 3 or something like that? It wasn't that bad.
There's been a lot of them out.
Yeah.
The games aren't necessarily bad. They just kind of follow the same formula again and again and again.
Yeah. But it was like the first one that I played of the new ones, and I was like, this is cool. I can upgrade my gun, have cool stuff. Oh, and wait, I can also feel really, really bad because I don't have my gun upgraded as much as everybody else's guns. Ugh.
I like your shout of despair.
Yeah, it was not a great
annoyed
time
grunt.
for me.
Pretty solid annoyed grunt.
I was just experimenting with first-person shooters that weren't GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was weird because you strafe differently.
And your controller is a bit different. It's a mouse and keyboard instead of the Nintendo 64 controller.
Yeah, and being left-handed but using a mouse right-handedly makes me very, very bad.
I have an important question to ask you.
Yeah, go.
So, they are going to release a Super Nintendo Mini, right? That's already
yeah.
been announced. Do they release a Nintendo 64 Mini? And if so, does it have the same controller?
I don't think you ever want to re-release that controller.
Just pretend it didn't exist?
Yes. Deny that was ever a thing. That would be the best option. That being said, I got very used to it, which ruined my ability to play any other video game console ever. It's like I'm used to a controller that is never going to be replicated or anything's going to be similar ever. And now I'm screwed. God, those joysticks were so bad, Papa Smithy.
They broke a lot.
Oh, so much. And why do you put Mario Party when you've got flimsy joysticks?
To make you buy more joysticks.
Yeah, well, you certainly have to. The hook's going to land here from Snowflower. Good playback as well. Core JJ. Negligible damage, but at least the message has been sent.
Loud and clear of no action in the early game. The moment that Ambition went for the full clear and you realized it was Corky mid. And also Gnar. Yep. Ganking lanes pre-6 wasn't looking very happy times for Samsung.
That feels a little bit bad.
Ambition and also Omti might be meeting in the top side, though. No one spotted out just yet.
Might be some action, Papa Smithy.
Yeah, maybe not.
Oh, but Snowflower did get a relic proc on it, which was exciting.
I see you're getting into that awkward spot as a play-by-play caster where you need something to be excited about, and you're like, relic shield, bro.
Yeah, well, I was too busy triggering myself on memories of not being very good at first-person shooters and N64 controllers.
And look where we ended up, in MOBAs. That said, now suddenly I want to play LoL with a Nintendo 64 controller.
Oh, could you imagine? Talk about hard mode.
I could probably still carry games with Gallia.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Do you reckon you could play Fiddlesticks with a N64 controller?
Why do you specify Fiddlesticks?
Because, I feel like he's the one that you've played the most out of any other champion, given the fact that he was your very early main.
It's all about Gallia and Zach.
No, why would they be left open? What is
Fair question, because they know I'm playing on a Nintendo 64 controller, Atlas.
You're allowed to have the handicap. Are there enough buttons?
Don't ask questions.
Okay.
Just admit my greatness.
Imagine playing Lee Sin on an N64 controller.
Or a Guitar Hero controller.
Oh, yeah. That'd be rocking out. If there's ever a way to rock out, that is a way to rock out.
Well, if you listen to the audio-only commentary, nothing's happened, although...
Crown going to have to throw down his exhaust. He's taking a lot of damage. Ambition waiting. And that is going to be the pickup. The ultimate was there, and somehow the knockup didn't come down on Kuzan.
They want another kill.
That Ambition is going to fall. No. Last auto attack, not enough from Kuzan. Of course, Karma not a notable auto attacker, but First Blood going over to Jin Air. Fantastic start. They may actually transition this into a Mountain Drake. Umti's just really happy that Rek'Sai, got another buff. And she's feeling even better now. He was one of those players that tried his hand and it just flat out didn't work.
Yeah, playing on the tail end of the rework just before it came through and then not finding any success with it. It was a smart time to get. They had double wards already in the enemy jungle, which is falling pretty low, so could probably do with the Thresh, but the Thresh gets called away.
Yeah, he's got Rek'Sai, she's pretty durable.
Less so than before, but otherwise, pretty strong. Crown dying through Flash and also the Valkyrie is pretty sad times.
Yeah.
But he's got his package, so he's feeling better now.
Yeah, he's got his package. He's got his sword that gives him proc damage on his autos, as well as his Ruby Crystal. I'm aware it's called a Sheen, but I just sometimes like to speak about it visually.
You like to live dangerously.
Yeah. Well, I like to mix it up. I mean, you say Sheen one too many times, it starts to lose its meaning. That's the steal. There's blue buff. Crown's going to pop over. Say thank you very much. Move it a bunch extra fast with that package equipped. None the wiser for the loss of his buff. So good answer here from Samsung to make sure that they get something back and trade for their mid laner, but good hook lands. Once again, the play coming in. Unbreakable means that all of these hooks are more boring than I expected. But Teddy has been playing this one out nicely, and he does have the Doran's Blade start as well, so understanding that they do have a little bit of extra pressure with the extra range that the Thresh does provide.
Also much more of a salient option in a matchup against the likes of Braum rather than the Zyras and Lulus that ran the Rift in spring season.
Yeah.
So Doran Shield regen, just a little bit lower priority as Ashe doesn't really start doing a lot of trade damage till a couple more points in volley where she can use it more liberally.
Kuzan's just been casually farming really, really well and now has an Athene's on Holy Grail, so has skipped any sort of gank opportunities, more than happy just to chill, and Magic Resist you can pick up there is more useful now against the Corki that has 80% magic damage on his autos, and Cuvée has to watch his boomerang fly off to the side.
People wonder, why is that so significant? The fact that it's so much now loaded on magic damage instead of physical. I mean, the big story is that magic damage critical strikes, specifically with Infinity Edge, it feels so bad to itemize magic damage against magic resist purely against Corki, and that amount of magic damage burst is really on the high end, and the sort of thing is hard to avoid. Umti and Ambition certainly are not ships sailing through each other at night. They find each other, but Ambition just gets away.
Yep, cheeky little auto attack, but lots of vision now available for Jin Air. They're protecting their bottom lane that has been the crown jewel in the past. Cuvée getting pretty large. There's the Narbak, just looking for the solo kill potentially onto Ixu, but only gets half of his health bar.
Actually well timed, because he was just going into mini-Gnar form where you can do a lot more harass damage. Bot lane.
Yeah, teleport immediately going to come in from Kuzan as Samsung were looking to try and get some action. But once again, we're not going to have any proximity.
Not really sure on that call, given that Teddy and Snowfire clearly wanted to be leaving the lane. Bit of a misread, I would imagine, of the bot lane situation by Kuzan.
May have thought that Ambition had, the correct route in there, so could have got behind. And no, I don't think so either. I was looking for that, the classic play-by-play justification move. Just didn't have it.
Looking for a silver lining that may not be real, but
yeah.
I kind of have to nod my head and be like, sure, that could be.
Yeah, that look. Theoretically, everything's
Pigs
possible.
can fly.
Yeah. In one universe, maybe, based on infinite possibilities, etc., etc.
Do you think in one universe you're a color caster and I'm a play-by-play caster?
That universe happened a few years ago. Well, actually, no, not the you play-by-play. That being said, where can we make this happen? Is that going to have to, stay on our podcast?
You mean the LCK broadcast?
All right, do you want to take the next team fight?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
We're still training Atlas. We have to go and represent Riot Games at Rift Rivals next week.
Yeah, so we need to get in the hyperbolic time chamber.
There is only 2 play-by-play casters on that list. So if both of you get sick, I think Papa's in the house.
Yeah, look, we're on a plane. Anything can happen on planes.
Jin Air knows about it.
Yeah, well, Unbreakable once again going to deny a lot of fun, but they're going to try and turn this one around. A Samsung. CoreJJ takes a lot of damage. Exhaust has to be expended onto Teddy. And that was more exciting than it was last time.
Juve was just getting back to lanes. Didn't have any Rage Bar. There was actually decent teleport ward options. Not fantastic ones, but options. It wasn't going to come down. Doesn't mean Unbreakable on cooldown for a bit. And crucially, the Glacial Fissure not available now for CoreJJ.
Thankfully, Arrow there for potential disengage or engage, depending on what Samsung want to be using it for. Crown going to be able to get his blue buff, maneuver himself back. Okay, everything back to quiet once again. Let's check in with the gold, 300. Nothing at all. Mountain Drake, though, on the side of Jin Air, still feeling very comfortable, and it's good to see Umpty been comfortable now on the Rek'Sai, and does have the Cinderhulk Tiamat build sorted out. Now Ambition going to look to perturb Umpty as he's taking down this Rift Scuttler.
Never really going to use the Resonating Strike onto a Karma who already has Athene's and Anita's large rod.
Doesn't need to be that large, Papa Smithy.
But yet, here it is.
Yeah.
Casual roam through from Ixu, but only level 11. Cuvée and Crown's time both gets better around one item. It's going to be the Black Cleaver rush after the Hex Drinker for Cuvée, and also the Trinity Force for Crown. So I think we will be more quizzical about Samsung after that comes in bot lane.
Yeah, CoreJJ using the Unbreakable on the wrong side completely, and that is going to be Teddy picking up another kill for Jin Air. Make that a double. All too easy, and Umpty utilizing those amazing gank paths that you can take with the Rek'Sai. Tunnels in, gets a kill.
And it was a multi-step process because it was as Crown had recalled as well. Able to get a big advantage for no investment, basically. Nice pathing, like you say, from Umpty, who finally is playing himself into form on the Rek'Sai. They'll get first brick in the bot lane as well, and Jin Air piling on advantages, and all Samsung can say is, well, our item spikes are getting there. Will they be relevant if there's just more gold sitting on the side of Jin Air Greenwings?
Yeah, and you're talking about early spikes. On the other side of the map, there's a Rumble who's more than happy to have just a Liandry's. Crown does steal away a blue buff, but then Kuzan wants to, it looks like, it could be Luden's Echo as item number 2, looking for that earlier power spike, and Kalista known forever as a 2-item spike champion.
And I love the fact that you spell out the 2 items is where Jin Air will look super strong, whereas Samsung 1 item is where they're probably the strongest, specifically the Trinity Force and also the Black Cleaver. And so the moment that those things are in, which it looks like will be accelerated from the side of Jin Air will be looking for fights while Samsung's looking to split, and so far Jin Air has run the map and should also have the upside and also the first foot in the door when it comes to deciding what happens around the map.
Well, we'll see whether Samsung can make use of that very small window that this Trinity Force has offered. Of course, Ruler does have the Blade of the Ruin King as well, but not necessarily a big spike for the old Ashe. Probably wants to get a Zeal item for the extra attack speed before that. Now, Swap has come in. Cork moving down towards the bottom side. Umpty looking for this Rift Herald, and if too much investment does go down from Samsung, it means that this Rift Herald may be able to get a fair bit of work done, possibly on an inner turret up here towards the top side.
And Ixu just uses an equalizer, allows the race to be won by Jin Air as they pick up their second outer turret at the same time. Rek'Sai soloing down the Rift Herald. Jin Air's actually getting everything on the Rift, while Samsung can only watch on in a bit of horror.
Yeah. Ixu as well, full knowledge of exactly what was happening. Teleport from Kuzan is going to make it, 2 versus theoretically 3, but it was just Ruler and Ambition down here. Now Umpty looking to utilize this Rift Herald and has 3 members here. This rotational play from Jin Air over the last few minutes honestly has been stunning.
Delightful. They're probably going to get this turret here. I mean, it's hard for them to walk up, but so far so good as Ambition.
Yeah, caught in transition as well. That's going to mean the outer turret. Another hook's going to land as Cuvée very close to that big Narbar, but good dodge from Teddy. That was stunning. As now Kuzan's going to be able to pick up that kill, and Samsung on the ropes and just don't look like they have an answer to this play from Jin Air.
It was such a standard playbook from both teams for about the first 9 minutes, and the moment that Jin Air stepped forward, got a pick, and they've been able to translate it into just immense map control. Bot lane going their way at the same time as well. They're already reining in on the mid lane turret, having it at 50% HP, 17 minutes in.
Yeah, big hook onto Crown there as well, as Teddy's going to be able to follow up with some poke. Kuzan This Karma, the fact that he's gone with the extra ability power straight afterwards, that looks like a death cap is opted into for item number 2, means that it's not the Ardent Sensor, it's not the big shields or anything like that. And yes, that is going to synergize with the cup, but the spike in damage that you get from this flat AP is crazy in the mid game.
Now, we've seen this once before this week, but you can just vary yourself off the path when your team is doing well and go death cap second, and it doesn't mean you can't pick up Ardent Sensor as a 3rd or 4th item. We saw it 3rd after a death cap because you still are getting extra value out of the new Athene's passive, and Ardent Sensor is so cheap that you put your extra gold, your snowball gold, into building towards the death cap, and with the Forbidden Idol in the inventory, it still will be Ardent Sensor a bit later.
Yeah, and that's 40% cooldown reduction in the meantime as well, Papa Smithy, so I like it from Kuzan.
And some more mana regen that gives him ability power.
Oh, the synergy.
Ardent Sensor no longer the item you feel ashamed to have in your inventory.
Yeah, you know how there's a few things in League of Legends that just make you love the game? And item synergy, I think, is the thing that I am most into.
What's your favorite item synergy?
Favorite item synergy? Probably Hextech Gunblade Spirit Visage.
So a very standard one.
Yes, it's the normal stuff.
Why do I ask you questions?
I know, you fall into the trap every single time.
I know.
And what were you expecting?
Blade the Ruin King Hurricane?
Boring. There's no Gunblade there.
That's true. There's no Gunblade very frequently.
Yeah, that's good. But no, remember, I was a Mordekaiser player, so it has to be something to do with Spellvan.
Should have a chat with Khan after one of his matches.
Oh, I'd love to.
Pick his brain. You seemed unhappy about his Rylai's rush.
Yeah, well, look, it makes sense, right? But it's it feels too meta. I like being a super metal dude with a gun that's also a sword.
Like role-playing the Mordekaiser.
Yeah. I feel like if you're going to be hipster enough to pick Mordekaiser, you need to pick hipster items as well. That being said, his build worked, so...
He did win a professional game in Korea on Mordekaiser.
Against the #1 team in the league. Sorry, #4 team in the league. So, definitely did well, and I probably couldn't perform the same way. That's all right. Meanwhile, we've got Jin Air rotating beautifully
pushing up
towards
through
the
mid,
top side.
putting down control wards in the red side jungle, forcing Gnar to recall. Gnar doesn't even have a sick teleport ward, and doesn't have the rage bar either. So, Jin Air maybe not getting massive damage onto inner turrets, but continue to follow the playbook really smartly. And guess what? They got a nice fallback objective to start considering with their Callista secure on Baron.
Yeah, just incredibly good. The fact that they get that easy maneuver between the inner turrets mid and top means that these pick opportunities are certainly there. As Umti tagged, but look at that. Just shielded up, not going to take any damage that's going to stick. Has that rage to eat up as well. Try and get this Rek'Sai back to her healthy self. Juve going to go Mega, but it's not feeling as Mega as it should feel. Despite the fact that it's only 7,000 gold to lead.
And the items are there, right? He has the Black Cleaver, he has the Hex Drinker, so should be, especially in Mini-Gnar form, making the Rumble stay very frustrating. There's no regen in the build. But they don't have any map control. This is where laning advantages and 1-3-1 possibilities become almost buzzwords that are fake news, because there's nothing they can do to really put pressure on even outer turrets, because Jin Air, shrouded in darkness with there being no ward control by Samsung, can rock up, Thresh Hook, or the Fate's Call will ruin their day. And because Samsung have to show respect, the aforementioned power spikes are pretty irrelevant at this point.
Yeah, and we're getting towards those 2-item power spikes. Teddy already has his, but there's a lot of gold on Kuzan, who goes back and grabs that hat that spells a lot of disaster for Samsung. That's 40% cooldown reduction with a death cap. That means those Qs are going to be hurting a lot, and the Inspire shields are going to be massive as well. I love the double duty that you get from the ability power when you have a utility-based champion. And these are the ideal items for a Callista at this stage of the game. If you're mid-game with a QSS, Blade of the Ruin King Hurricane, you are feeling so incredibly good about your life.
There's a small note, but without blue buff or 10% CDR from runes, it is only with the blue buff that Kuzan has the 40%, as Athene's was nerfed to 10%.
Ah, unfortunate.
But it's mid lane Karma, so the blue buff's there, so your point still stands.
All right, thank you, Papa Smithy.
They had to adjust something, otherwise it would have been just the most overpowered on Karma.
Well, Hook is going to land somehow. I believe that was the fact that CoreJJ jumped in front of Ruler, who was the target. That is going to be the snare. onto Snowflower. He does have the Fate's Call as the option. Out goes Umpty, and there's the Fate's Call. We're looking for the re-engage as See You Later Ambition, and that is reset 1 that Teddy's able to pick up. Umpty waits for the end of the concussive blows, and that wears off. Big one needed to be fired out if he wanted that kill on the side of Crown.
And now it's only the Meganar that has to be respected, so given they can see the bar for now, feeling pretty comfortable. Umpty doing a bit of jungle, trying to get some health back. They want an inner turret, but the next minion wave is kilometers away, so why not take the big grouped minion wave in the bot lane and try and get the inner turret there instead?
Yep, this is the one that we prepared earlier, says Jin Air on their cooking show. Snowflower looking for a hook over this wall as well. I believe he swept out that area, but there are no wards anyway for Samsung. Good positioning by Ruler, but he doesn't want to stand there. Hook is going to go wide.
Zan falling low, the evacuation happens. No inner turrets, but very low, very much standing gold available for Jin Air on a return to mid lane or bot. And the items, you know, for Samsung with that gold deficit now, 4,500 or so. Infinity Edge can't come fast enough for Crown, but even he still doesn't want to be team fighting because it's going to be a DPS build from Cuvée. Not quite the rapid fire cannon yet. Maybe that'll be a later item, given that we saw that earlier in the week.
It looks like more of Malmortius is actually going to be picked up here.
Thank you, Observer, for showing us that, yep, the next return will be 2 more inner turrets taken down from the side of Samsung Galaxy. Jin Air just keep going back, picking up relevant items.
And look at all of the zeros on the side of Samsung. We're looking at a potential perfect game for Jin Air here at 25 minutes in.
Here's what I'll say about this season. We've had 2 perfect games, both by a Freak of Freaks. That's already pretty remarkable. We've had a lot of perfect 20 minutes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We've had, in standard lanes, the snowball is real, and the snowballs have consistently happened. You're right, though. Jin Air for at least 25 minutes, it's seeming like, or 24 or 30, has been good. They're on the Baron. They have the secure. Samsung have been respectful all game. The Smite's used early. They just want to secure it with the pick. Here it is.
Yeah, they just don't really care. The Rend is so strong with that many spears in the back of the head of the Baron. And Jin Air take a free one in that pit. You give Callista enough time, and she's going to make sure that there is no stealing anything. You can be the best jungler in the world. You're not going to be able to outsmite 2,000 damage. Probably a little bit more than that. Quite exaggerate effectively. However, fantastic work by Jin Air, knowing exactly what they can take without ever having to take a risk. It feels like it's just been calculated, measured play so far throughout this series.
I mean, they made an assertive move, right? Taking down the Corki, and everything just flowed on. It's almost like they were reading a script from there and ticking every box.
But when has that been Jin Air, you know? When have they really known every single move to make throughout these games? That was a lot of the question marks that we had in the spring season, because there was just, how do they close out after having these moments of brilliance?
I mean, in summer, sure, they have reverted to old form, like, for example, the series against Afrika last time out. But there have been moments where that has been Jin Air's story, and that's why there was the good news story. We came up with the Clean Air meme for a reason, as Snowflower forces Ruler to flash.
That is going to be this inner turret falling down. The Baron buff just able to take down the turrets that our observers so aptly stated had been prepared earlier.
This is the Clean Air. This is the team that can, when they get everything going, look like they're not going to make a mistake, and they have so much damage on their members that Samsung are playing respectful as they lose basically every objective on the map.
Yeah, and they're moving ward lines up. They're doing everything correctly. This minion wave on the top side is going to be nursed by Kuzan, who has teleport at the ready if anything is going to go awry. Rumble also moving up as well, has a Fiendish Codex there just to try and get some cooldown reduction of his own. Heading towards Sonya's Hourglass as item number 3. Now everyone just follows that minion wave towards the last remaining inner turret. This textbook is being read pretty aptly.
And all the effort into banning out Teddy. He brings back the Callista that he's only played 2 times professionally. Looks very, very good on it. Now they're sitting on a mountain of gold. Most of the gold lead in gold, so Baron buff and the champion level is still going to be separating the 2 teams, but it could be bigger.
Yep. Able to get a lot of damage onto that inhibitor turret, but that one is going to regen. Powered recall is going to be used.
Buy some sick items.
Yep. Quarter of that Baron buff is remaining. 2,000 gold on the jungler. Terrifying.
And you know what? decides that, hey, it worked for us sometimes. Knight's Vow, I don't need any more damage. I just want to make sure that Callista doesn't die.
Yeah. Speaking of the Kalista, Kuzan now has that ardent sensor.
Crown trying to stop the perfect game. It's a dirty way to do it, taking a Drake.
Yeah, that's nice. Got to kill something. Come on, Crown. Alright, so Umpty's going to be able to say no to that. That's going to be double mountain, double air. We're on our way to an Earth, Wind, and Fire. Could it be? No. Yes! There's one more dragon. Come on, please be Infernal Drake. Damn it! Every time. I never get an Earth, Wind, and Fire day.
You don't. Not granted to you, Atlas, but you may get a Jin Air perfect game, which is like a triple rainbow, like the most rare.
True. Yeah, that is crazy rare.
I don't know this for a fact,
so spoiled.
But I'm willing to make a proclamation. I don't know if Jin Air have ever made a perfect game in their League of Legends tenure, ever.
Yeah, look.
There isn't many perfect games, and Jin Air have never been a dominating team, so this may be a first of all time. No, not achieved yet. Certainly you can make a boneheaded mistake and dive in the Nexus as you win the game, but it's been a clean 28 minutes, that's for sure.
And even if this isn't an exactly perfect game, it's the most perfect that I've seen Jin Air play, especially against a team like Samsung. And it's not like they've picked a champion that is crazy.
Nope.
Or like picked up pentakills on Ixu and things like that. This is just better macro players. There's the equalizer put down. Oh, beautiful dodge of that arrow.
Movement speed helped a lot there.
Yep, Teddy is going to jump himself back, but not enough auto attacks on this turret. The Inspire Shield's there. That means that this Kalista very, very slippery as he looks for the auto attacks. The last remaining ones on this inhibitor turret. Umpty, possibly in trouble, takes half of his health bar.
They really want to walk up and hit this turret twice more by Teddy. No, just a single.
Yeah, and that is going to the hook. Ambition just explodes. There's still Ren damage there as Umpty jumps his way forward. That's going to be that. The exhaust goes down, but the thing about Teddy is he still gets the resets. Once it wears off, it's a double kill for the Rek'Sai. Ingo, Snowflower, Cuve's in trouble. That's the Rend, the double kill. And Jin Air are looking to finish off the base now if they get a minion wave. Because that's the ace, and there's 30 seconds on everyone.
It's insane. They're going for this perfect game. Now they're trying to brute force it. The minion line's coming up. I think they've done it, Atlas.
I think they've done it too. The perfect game against Samsung, the #1 team in the league. And Jin Air Greenwings say, it doesn't matter. The glad plane will fly, and the Nexus will melt. Jin Air Greenwings, what a way to make momentum moving into a game #2.
Possibly for the first time in their history, likely for the first time in their history, they get a perfect game, the third of the 2017 LCK summer season. It's not the Afrika Freaks, but you look at the teams that have taken a perfect game. KT's one of them. Now you add Samsung to the list. Samsung Galaxy would have been pretty happy with their draft, but it fell apart on one invade about 9 minutes in. Nothing much happened until the kill came through, and from there, every single decision they made was the correct one for Jin Air Greenwings. And now you wonder about the temperature in the booth. You can see Ruler fanning himself. It must be heating up because they're going to have to answer to their coach how Jin Air, a team that came in with pretty woeful form, it must be mentioned. It wasn't with an Akali cheese pick that they beat Samsung Galaxy. It was playing and drafting about as standard as possible, and that probably is the thing that will scare Samsung the most.
Yeah, we have to go back to our previous series where we saw Blue Side be so incredibly effective. It's happening once again. The first 4 games these teams have played against each other is the Blue Side 100% win rate. As this is
everyone knows their role. The hook onto Gnar.
Oh.
Just tremendous there. Teddy could even take a Nexus shot or two, playing with fire, both him and Ixu.
Ixu was so close to denying the perfect game by just walking accidentally into the fountain.
We have seen Afrika Freaks perfect game in game 1 and lose a series. It can still happen.
Yes.
But you can never take away that on this day, July 1st, Jin Air Greenwings perfect game, first placed Samsung, and made us wonder about what the rest of the season holds for both these teams.
Or about what the rest of this series holds as well. If this is a 2-0 for Jin Air, imagine what that's going to do to Samsung, who are our third-place representatives moving into Rift Rivals. Might mean that the LMS and the LPL could be feeling better, but we are going to go to a short break. When we get back, Jin Air look to make it a 2-0.